Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for visiting again. And today we've gone for something a bit different. I'm going to do a little quick review of this particular little kit here, which I've just recently acquired. It's an M1240 A1 MATV MRAP all-terrain vehicle, for those of you that can't read that for themselves. It's an American vehicle, and as you know, the Americans are very, very fond of their 3 and 4 letter abbreviations. I think M probably stands for motorized. ATV is obviously all-terrain vehicle, and not, for those older people amongst the watchers here, Anglia television. MRAP stands for mine resistant ambush protected vehicle. So it's this was a vehicle that came about as a result of encounters with mines and improvised explosive devices in Iraq and Afghanistan during counterinsurgency activities, where mines and bombs would be planted underneath craft, cars and vehicles like this, so it's very heavily armoured underneath, as we shall see in just a few minutes' time when we start to look through the bits and pieces. So it can withstand some very significant explosive bursts from underneath and obviously all around it. It's a conversion of a Humvee, which is, as you probably all know, a very large American vehicle which has I think a 7-litre odd turbo diesel engine, and it's capable of carrying a goodly number of people. And in this particular case, this conversion is by a company called Oshkosh. That will mean more to people in the United States than it will to me over here. My knowledge on this particular vehicle is lamentably small, but I hope to learn a little bit about it, both from all you people out there in modelling land, and of course from the internet as I go to search this. So as you can see, this is a Ryefield models kit. It's actually not a 1/35th scale, it's a 1/48th scale instead, and its part number is 4801. It's kit 4801 in their what they call military miniature series. And we will see that it is quite miniature. It's a nice picture on the front. It looks quite good, that, and shows the vehicle off really very well. It's got some nice lines, I have to say. It's got a nice shape to it, and they call it, I think, a light vehicle, but I mean, their definition of light and mine are obviously rather different. And I would have to say that if you were driving a vehicle like this around the country, in this part of the world, it would probably save all of your parking difficulties, because if you wanted to put it somewhere, you just drive it over the top of a Mini or something and it would go right over it, and you could sit on top of it and no one would be able to do anything about it. But I suspect that's probably a little bit antisocial and might attract the attention of the constabulary, the, shall we say, unwelcome attention of the constabulary. But anyway, I've gone for a 1/48th scale version of this for a couple of reasons, but mainly because there's a fellow in modelling land who is known to many of you, good old James at To Boldly Goes Model Works, who, that's something I want to keep, who is rather good at these little 1/48th scale series models, and he makes them quite regularly, and he's become something of a celebrated figure. So I thought I would celebrate him here and say, go and look at To Boldly Go, because he's got plenty of things that look just a bit like this, and he finishes them really well, and it's certainly worth going and giving him a little bit of a visit. We'll have a look at this whilst we're going. So as usual with Ryefield, what you get is some CAD images on the sides, and this picture is repeated on the end here, on both ends, and then you've got some other CAD images. They say it's got full interior detail, and yes, it would have. I would sort of expect it to have. I mean, that includes the engine, of course, as well, including the other oddments and bits and pieces like the machine gun here. As I say, I would sort of expect it to have, because it's got glass windows and so on, so you can actually see in, but does give you an opportunity to be able to detail the interior. So let's open up the lid and take a quick look inside. So I mean, these are normally sat at the bottom, so I've pulled them out, and we'll have a quick look through. I'll do my usual thing of having a quick glance through the instructions and then pull out things that I think are going to be of interest. But as you can see, you know, the sprues are not numerous by any means. And we'll quickly be able to see just exactly how, you know, how big this is, or how not big this is. But anyway, so at the start we have the instructions here, you know, and the cautions. You know, don't drive across narrow bridges with punctures, and don't drink your bath water, and you know, make certain that you wear shoes when you're walking over sharp things and this sort of thing. So all sorts of things like this, so we'll follow all of that. But as usual with Ryefields, from what I can see, there isn't really very much information on the model itself, and you are really called upon to do your own research. So it's one of those things that you're really going to have to do. So let's move that box just away over there a minute, and then we can put this just a little bit further down. Hope the light's all right for you there. In fact, I'll tell you what we might do is just shed a bit more light on it there. That's a little better, isn't it? There we go. So a couple of variants here that we've got in terms of the vehicles. I presume that the blue squares are colour call-outs. I would suggest they probably are. I don't know what they're colour call-outs for, to be honest with you. Maybe they're for Mr. Hobby paints or something like that. Perhaps that might be the case. But all of you guys out there who watch these things, girls too, please let me know if you think that I'm right or I'm wrong, because I'd like to get the right colour for this, and I can research it. But if these are you know, colour call-outs, then that kind of makes it helpful for me. So anyway, let's go back to this. We've got the sprue identifying whatnots here. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sprues if you include the clear products, and then there's a small packet of photo etch, and then some spare parts as well. So that's the bonnet, or the hood as they say in America. Welcome to you if you're watching in America. Thank you very much for journeying across the Atlantic to see what I'm doing over here, and I think that'll be the cabin, as it were, and then there's a chassis. So with the 1/48 scale model, you don't have to build the chassis, as you can see. Let's just zero this in a bit, see if we can see a little bit more of it. You don't have to build the chassis; it comes already produced, and there it is. So let's just pull that out of its little packet here. And you can see this, and I mean, given that that's the chassis, this represents the extent of the model. But it's a triumph of moulding to look at it, to be honest with you. We can zero right in and see that there. You can see these chassis arrangements here. That's the gearbox, I would assume. So I would suggest, would consider that it's likely that the engine will go probably here, I would say. But I mean, look at the detail inside that there. That's really quite special, isn't it? I think that's rather good. You know, you can see all these nuts and bolts and so on, and these holes and bits and pieces. I mean, you probably won't see an awful lot of this, but it doesn't half look good. So what we have here is we'll have to build a couple of let's just zero that out. Here we go. Otherwise we get some flicker on the white paper. As you know, cameras aren't very good with white. I think it's something to do with the charge coupled devices that they employ. Some sub-assemblies to build here, so there's some bits and pieces there, and the one thing I did notice when I took a look at this, let's have a look at the D sprue here. That's the B, these are the D's. The D sprue has the springs on it. The springs are plastic and look like they probably will extend and be actually springy. Yes, they will be. You can see that there. You can see them flexing and moving. So I think that's really rather nice. And as usual, I think we can genuinely expect that the components that we have here on these sprues will be extremely well moulded, very, very nicely built. My experience of Ryefield extends to one model so far, which I've not completed, and it does beg the question from you all. And if you asked this question, I'd say valid question. If you were to say to me right now, look here, Zinners, you've got yourself another Ryefield model and you didn't build the first bloody one you did, so what is their guarantee that you'll finish this one? Well, I suppose there are no guarantees in life, but all I can say is I'm quite taken with this. I might give this a go and get it through to its conclusion and paint the blooming thing so that it's actually done. Give me a chance and I'll see what I can do, eh? But anyway, so the chassis is ready made for you. You don't have to assemble it, so there's no problem with making certain that everything's in order and it's flat and square and so on. And in a few steps, you're quite quickly into a position where you're building the engine. Here, this is this turbo diesel engine, 7-litre turbo diesel engine here. And getting again quite a lot of detail into this, and as you can see here, this pipe work here is being sighted. I'm thinking to myself immediately that I suspect that probably getting an awful lot of this up together would be a good idea, and then painting afterwards. Ensuring that yes, I was right about the engine, by the way. Ensuring that this is all stuck in before one does the painting. Yeah, so it looks like that might not be a bad idea. I zero out a little bit, you can see a little bit more of this here, but we're up to step 5 before we actually see the engine fitted. As you can probably work out here, if we look at this together, that's the way round it goes. So this is the lower half, obviously that's the upper half, and so the engine sits on this end and the gearbox there, and then the transmission shaft goes back towards the rear there, with the final drive sitting under there. So that final drive is a sub-assembly that is built here in step 4 really. So you can see that happening there, that way round, and we've already put the wheels on, so it's a 4-wheel drive vehicle, as you can probably work out. So after step 7, having put the wheels on, you're into step 8, and now we're into the cabin, which, as they say, is quite detailed, there's quite a lot of small parts to put in here, I think, from what I can see, and some cockpit detailing, some cabin detailing to do here. There are decals for the 3 dials here, I think that shouldn't be too much of an issue in that regard. In fact, we could take a quick look at the dashboard there. Let's put that there. So we want the A screw, which is, that's the B screw. There's the A screw there. Yeah, let's bring the A screw out and have a little look at that. I think it's always nice to have a look at these little bits here. These are the sort of things that if you're displaying a model, it's the kind of things that people always take a look at, I think anyway. So here we are, A70. Let's do it the right way up, shall we? And there it is in all its glory. You can see some nice dial detail here, which you can get your decals into. That's a screen there, I believe, so that'll need to be coloured properly, but we can work at getting these details probably optically sorted, because I think the dashboard here is dark coloured almost exclusively, so it's quite important to just really highlight this optically. I don't think, from what I can see, there are too many in the way of red or white buttons on this, as you would have in a cockpit of an aircraft, for example. But as you can see, as ever, you know, the detailing is exceptionally fine with this Ryefield kit, and it's, I suspect, what you people who are very experienced with Ryefield are really very much used to, I would say. So you know, moving quickly along, we've got seats going in, and then we're quite quickly into rear bulkheads and cabin, you know, bits and pieces. Now, what you can do here is you can set the doors shut or open. I think probably the nice thing to do would be to set at least one of the doors open so that people can look inside. Quite a lot of photo etch here, particularly at this sort of stage, so there's quite a lot of photo etch bending to do to create, well, something, I know not what, to be perfectly honest with you. And the glass parts are being called out here by the look of it. Is it A6 and A7? No, it isn't. That's not the glass parts as of yet. A6 and A7. Yeah, these are just frameworks. So they're just plastic frameworks that go into the cabin, and the cabin actually comes in its own little box. And look at that, eh? It's all very tiny and wee, isn't it? You know, it's very, 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 very small, and it has to come in a box because you can see these. These are the horns here. So it's a two-tone, so there you are. It's not going to allow you to play La Cucaracha, but then again, I don't suppose an army vehicle needs to do that, does it? So we'll put that back in its little box here. But this is the difference between, you know, quality and not quality. These are the little touches that allow your very delicate parts of your models to be preserved to an extent that means that you can build something pristine. But no, I think this looks really good, and one only really has to look at this, for example. I think really this little area here, these doors, to see when people say sharp moulding, you kind of know what that means. Then you can see a few shadows there, but I'll just hold that there like that. But you can see what that looks like. I think that's really very nicely done, and it's not difficult to work out why people really rather like these models. So yeah, lots and lots of small parts to be putting in into the cabin, and then we're kind of near the end when you start to drop the cabin onto the chassis. So you drop the seats on, cabin on, and then we're into the building of the blast deflector. So the blast deflector is a B-screw part, and it's very, very obvious, as you probably would have seen. So let's pull that out, and you can take a quick look at this. And there we go. Got noisy plastic bags here, but there we are. So there's the blast deflector. Again, nicely detailed underneath. Very, very nicely done. Even the bits where you can't really see it, I think that's a foot plate there, so you can see just up into here. Let's use my poker. That's a foot plate there, I would guess. I would hazard that guess. And you can see all of this detail under here. So again, quite a thick blast deflector. And again, that goes on in this area here. You can see that. There we go, that's as far out as it go. And then mud guards and so on. We're through to stage 16. And then there's still more to go. We're into the rear sections here, rear top mud guards. Lots of photo etch going in here. Lots of little components to go on. Most of this I think probably won't take very long to do, I would have to say. I think the detailing of the painting is going to be the thing. So a few little bits and pieces to put in. Hooks like Y28 here, that's a photo etch part. Then you're dropping the this final component in here, and then the bonnet with its mirrors and so on, and its lights and so on and so forth, and there's a photo etch grill to go in, and then we're into the bit of actually producing the machine gun. So this is a 7.62mm machine gun, apparently, according to what I can understand. There were two variants apparently of this particular one. One for the, I think, Marine Corps, and then one for the Army. The one for the Army had a manual sort of, you get to hold on to it and pull the trigger thing, and then I think the Marine Corps one is operated remotely from inside the cabin, so it, the firing officer is in less danger. And then we have the top section, and then it all goes together at the end of it. So it's I think it's a fascinating little kit, which has, for a little 1/48 scale kit, has an enormous amount of detail in it, enormous number of parts when you think about they fit into this really quite small box. I mean, the B sprues go up to B67, so that gives you an idea of that. The A sprue goes up to A95, so there's just two sprues there, and we're looking at 160 odd parts. Quite a lot there, really, isn't there? So there's a little bit of work to do, but I think it would go together reasonably quickly, and we'll have to give some thought to how it's painted and how one might do that. But that, by way of a brief interlude, is the Ryefield Models MRAP all-terrain vehicle, as you probably will remember, MRAP stands for Mine Resistant Ambush Protected Vehicle, what they call light utility, but I think light, they're playing fast and loose with the word light there, aren't they? Let's face it. So there we are, little review of that. I will do a build series on this because I think it should be quite interesting, go look up To Boldly Go and go and have a look at what he gets up to, because he's a bit of an expert on this kind of thing. You'll learn much more from him than you will from me, but please don't let that stop you coming to see my video. So anyway, there we are. Thanks very much for calling in, everyone. Nice to see you again, and leave any comments that you want, and if you like what I do, tell other people. If you don't, tell me. Thanks very much. See you on the next one. Bye for now.